All right, we're going to take a look at listing terms of a finite sequence, but before we do that, let's make sure we understand what we mean when we say sequence. A sequence is really just an ordered list of numbers, an ordered list, and it actually doesn't have to just be numbers, it's an ordered list. So, but for mathematical reasons, we can't, that's a little too vague for us in the math world. So we're going to say a little more. A specific definition will be something like this. It's a function, so believe it or not, we can actually graph these things. We'll talk about that later. And it's a function whose domain, the x values, or we actually call them the n's, the function whose domain is the set of natural numbers. Okay, so whose function is the domain of whose domain is the set of natural numbers. So it is a function. Now, I know that when most people hear domain, they think of like an XY table, right? They think of the x, the input that we're and that's exactly what we are talking about, the domain. And so, but when we're talking about sequences, we don't use an x, we actually use an n. Okay, to represent natural numbers. And we don't use a y, we actually use this notation. So when we're talking about input and output for sequences, we're talking about n is the input and a sub n is the output. Well, a sub n is what we call the term. And so the terms are the values of the function. And here's how we write it. We write it with a sub n, and that's called the nth term. So I could say, hey, I want to know what the third term, the eighth term, the nth term. Okay? So it just means which one I want to, with the value that I want to know down the line, right, in the list. So let's take a look at finding all the terms of a finite sequence. Now, it's finite because they're telling us that we have a limited number of the natural numbers. We're only going to start with, of course it starts with 1, we're going to stop at 3. So here we go. Here's how we write this. If n is to be from 1 to 3 and it's only natural numbers, I'm not going to put any fractions in there, right? So I have to do it this way. A sub 1. Everywhere I see an n, I'm going to put 1. In other words, n is 1. Okay? A sub 1 is 1 squared minus 1 plus 12. A sub 1 is 1 minus 1 plus 12. And a sub 1 is 12. Okay? So let's go next to n as a 2. So let's see, we've got a sub 2. We're just going to put the 2 in for n. 2n for n. So we have 4 minus 2 plus 12. And a sub n is, what is that, 14? Okay, and last one, we're going to make n 3. And let's see, it would be a sub 3. 3 squared minus 3. Feels like you're back in Algebra 1, right? Plugging in. All right. Not too difficult. So we get 18. Okay, and you know, you can write the a sub 3 each time, or you can just leave it underneath with the equals lined up. All right, that's that. So all the terms of the sequence, the terms, again, that means the output. So what do we have? The terms of the sequence. Our sequence looks like this. There they are, the terms of the sequence. All right, pretty straightforward. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.